Okay, so what I did is I brought one of my sewing machines. I'm at my in-laws house, and this is like one of my really old sewing machines. I've had it forever. It's a Taylor Professional. Ta-da! Okay, I brought it just in case I decided I wanted to do some different projects. I live about 9 hours from here, so I didn't bring a lot. I just brought my sewing machine and a couple of things. I wasn't sure what projects I'd be doing, but anyway, so I went ahead and I wound the bobbin and I threaded the needle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the welt foot that I have, which this is my welt foot. Now I have had this welt foot for, I want to say 20 years. It could be longer. I don't know if they even still sell these. It fits on a lot of sewing machines. I've used this on, I have 5 sewing machines currently at my house, and then I have another one at my son's, which is a serger. Anyway, because he is a contract upholsterer as well. So what we do is, it's pretty easy to change the foot. It's pretty, not like any kind of rocket science work or anything. You just take one foot off and then put the other foot on and screw it on tightly. I had already loosened the screw before I started videoing. So what I think what you can take from this is that you can have a lot of options with sewing machines. You don't have to go buy a big industrial sewing machine. I do have an industrial sewing machine, as well as I have a what's called a Sailrite, which is a portable industrial machine. And I usually use my Sailrite for my top stitches on things, for like a decorative stitch, because the decorative stitch needs to be using a larger thread as well as a longer stitch. But because we're not doing any of that, we're just using a normal home sewing machine. That's it. And that's all I'm going to use. And let me go grab a screwdriver. Apparently I didn't put one in there. And I'll come right back. Okay, so I went ahead and got my welt foot tightened on there real well. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make the welt. Now there are some directional fabrics that make this more challenging. If you want your welt to match. I've talked to my in-laws and they don't really have a big concern about that. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the welt. I just want to show you how easy it is with this foot. Now if you want, if anybody wants to know what the model number or serial number on this foot is, if you have a concern about that and you really would like to get this foot, maybe you could find it on eBay. I do have the serial number for this foot written down, and you'll see how easy it is to make welt with this. You don't have like the big concern of like watching the foot and making sure you're right next to the welt cord. This welt cord literally has a tunnel. It goes right in that tunnel. And I've been using it for years. I've used it on vinyl. The only thing you can't use this on, I believe, the only thing, because it's a normal machine, I haven't been able to do like leather with it. But I've done vinyl, and I've done all forms of fabric, corduroy, velvet. And the thing is if I'm going to use a welt foot, this is the one I'm going to use. So it's really simple. You're just like normal. You're going to go reverse. You're going to do your normal stitch. And then after that, you're going to just go straight down and you just push it right on through. This is the easiest way I know to make welt. And whenever you stop your sewing machine, again, if you anchor your needle and always rotate your wheel in one direction, never go up and down, backwards and sideways, always rotate it. Even if you have to make a full round, it's better, because it can mess up with your timing no matter what sewing machine you're on. But this is really the simplest way I know to make welt. You can, like if you're doing a vinyl application, you can buy welt that's already done. But I absolutely love this machine because it's really old school. I don't use it, ironically, I don't use it very often, but whenever I make welt, I either use this one or I have another Singer, and I have a Pfaff, and I have, well, anyway, I use whatever machine I have set up at the time that this foot fits on, because this foot is so amazing. It just has this tunnel. Anyway, enough of that. Let me go ahead and stop the video here. I'll get all the welt done and then I'll come back. Thank you. Now, one thing I didn't mention while I'm working on this, I want to go ahead and say that I'm using 69 nylon thread, which is upholstery thread. You can use several different types of thread, several different types of needles, size of needles, and most home machines will take up to a 16 or an 18 needle without any problems. It depends on your size of your motor, really. I know that you can get universal needles at any store, Walmart, whatever. And those needles can be anywhere all the way up to 20 or 22. But some sewing machines aren't quite strong enough for that size needle, depending on your fabric. So that's one of the things to take into consideration is your needle size and your thread size. I do cover that in one of my classes. I'm not sure if that's in the free classes. I don't believe it is. I believe it might be in the patterning class where I talk about needles and I talk about thread and applications versus you have marine applications, you have furniture applications, and you have auto applications. So all of them you're going to find have different specifications of the type of needles, the type of threads that you're going to use to be successful with that particular project. So I will try to cover some of that as I'm going along, what actually I am using at the time. So anyway, let me go ahead and finish up this welt. I'm sorry, I'm a motor mouth. Let me get this done real quick and then I'll come back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the welt for the other side. I just want to touch base real quick. If you do have an interest in this foot, it's the serial number. I can write it down, and you guys can look it up on eBay or on a used sewing machine part website. If you do a lot of welt, it is really a great thing. And if the foot doesn't fit your sewing machine, you can always pick one up secondhand. I was in New York, and when I was in New York, I did some curtains for a gal. I did 19 sets of curtains for her house, and she did not have a sewing machine. And so what we did was we just went on to Craigslist, and we went and we looked around, and we found a sewing machine. I don't remember. It was like $40, maybe $50. And I tested it there. It worked great. And this foot, I believe it or not, I do carry this foot with me when I travel and I do traveling jobs. So because of that, this foot is really, really, I can't stress enough, if you do a lot of welt, it will benefit you because it's just a tunnel. Following a little tiny foot and this thing not going all over the place, no matter how good you are, it does get challenging. So anyway, this is great for beginners. I'm not a beginner, but I still use it all the time. Okay, enough said. I'm going to go ahead and get back to it. I'm going to get this welt finished, and then we'll move on to our next step. Okay, so now that I have all my pieces together, let me see if I can show you this. I have one side of the cushion, I have my welt, and I have my box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the back corner, and I'm going to start right here. Now you'll notice I don't have my sewing lines on this box. Now there's a reason for that, because I'm using the welt foot, and it gives me the exact 1/2 inch that I need, because I have a 1/2 inch after the welt right here. And see, what you do is you put everything all sandwiched together and you put them right edge to edge, and you're going to go ahead and put them underneath the welt foot. And what it's going to do is this welt is still going to go all the way down, and so I don't actually essentially have to have that seam, that line right there, because I have an exact 1/2 inch marker right there with the welt going underneath this foot. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and get that started, and I'll jump right back on here in just a second once I get it under the sewing machine. Okay, so it was a little bit challenging getting all 3 pieces started at the same time. So what I did was, you can take a look here, I went ahead and put these 2 pieces together right here, just a few stitches down. That way I can then go all the way around. Now it was just challenging to get all 3 pieces, so sometimes it's better to just put a couple of those pieces together, and then you can go ahead and attach them. And once you get it started, you don't have to do it all the way down, as you can tell, but once you get it started, then you'll be able to go all the way around the cushion, bottom or top, whichever it's going to be, without any problems. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make this sew all the way around. I'll go ahead and I'll do a little bit with y'all. But I know it can be tedious watching somebody sew all on video. So that's why I pause it, because I feel like you guys probably don't want to just sit there and watch me just sew. But basically, with this welt foot, and you know there are other options for welt foots, by the way. I just particularly love this one, but maybe this one wouldn't be the one for you. Anyway, you can go right through that tunnel, and you're going exactly a 1/2 inch all the way around. And anyway, okay, so I'll just go ahead and pause the video. I'll sew this on and we'll come back. Okay, I didn't quite get too far before you came back, because I neglected to put this in the video. Right here, I took a small teepee size shape out of this, so that when I make this turn, there won't be too much fabric right here. So I just took a small amount of fabric out of that. Now when I make this other turn, I'm going to have to make a slit in it. I'm going to have to cut right here so it turns easily. If you need more explanation on that, it'll be in one of my future videos, but if you need more explanation on that, you know what, you could always just drop something in the comments. Anything you see in my videos, you can comment on them, or comment on the Facebook group page, you know, what more you'd like to see in that particular area, and I'd be happy to go back and look at the video and see what you're talking about and see if I can explain it a little bit better. Okay, again, I'm going to go ahead and get this sewn on there. I'm going to pause the video real quick, but I'll come right back. Okay, guys, so I went ahead and put the welt all the way around, and I have the box just on the sides and the front. And the reason why I did that was, again, for the back, we're going to have a zipper panel. So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and check out my handiwork. I'll show you what it looks like in just 1 second. Okay, so it looks like it turned out really good. We got a really nice welt all the way around. The box is really nice and smooth. I think once we put the other side on, it's going to look really nice. And so we'll just go ahead and get that welt put on the other side, and we'll come back after that. Okay, to make life easier, I'm actually going to go ahead and attach the welt to the other side, and that'll make it easier when I attach it to the box on the other side of the cushion. In case you're not familiar with how welt works, is obviously you're going to attach it to the outside of the fabric right along the edge, and that way when it's flipped up, you'll see that you can have that really nice welt edge on it. one of the other things, you can always double check, to make sure how it's going to look. Because if you say aren't paying attention, you might want to subliminally, you might want to attach it to the inside of the fabric, which you don't. You want it attached to the outside of the fabric. So it's kind of can be tricky, but make sure you can always put another piece of fabric there and see how it's going to look. If you take it like this, you can lie another piece of fabric across the top here, and you'll see that this is obviously the outside, the top side of the fabric.